Welcome everyone to this explainer. I am incredibly excited to be with you today because we are about to completely dismantle one of the most pervasive and honestly most damaging societal myths out there. You know the one, the idea that turning 50 means this inevitable, unavoidable physical decline. We are going to look really closely at the science of the 50-plus athlete and more importantly, how you can start reclaiming your own biological potential today.
So, let me ask you a question. Is the stiffness in your joints a result of your age or the chair you've sat in for 30 years? It's a bit of a startling pattern interrupt, isn't it? We spend so much time blaming the ticking clock on the wall for how we feel, when in reality, your favorite recliner might actually be the real culprit here. Age isn't what's rusting your joints, stillness is.
Here's our roadmap for today's explainer. We'll start with 1, the myth of aging, then move to 2, the true enemy, disuse. Explore 3, the biology of adaptation, cover 4, brain, bones, and heart, and finally map out 5, the master athlete blueprint.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Section 1, the myth of aging, dismantling the cultural fabrication. I want you to think about every pharmaceutical commercial or retirement ad you've ever seen. We have been so heavily conditioned to look at this number, 50, as a strict expiration date for our vitality, right? Like it's an era where soft focus lenses and just slowing down are mandatory. But modern physiological science shows us that the athlete within you absolutely isn't dying at 50. In fact, if approached correctly, that athlete is just beginning to find true, highly functional strength.
Let's look at this timeline society kind of forces upon us. It tells us that at 35 years old, your window for real physical transformation allegedly closes. At 50, the era of slowing down begins. And by 80, well, it's just inevitable frailty and physical obsolescence. Exposing this psychological scaffolding is absolutely crucial, because these limiting beliefs are the exact mental fortress preventing millions of people from ever simply stepping foot into a gym.
Now, what's really interesting here is the massive scientific distinction between your chronological age, which, let's be real, is just what's printed on your birth certificate, and your biological age, which is actually determined by your cellular health and your mitochondrial efficiency. A 50-year-old who progressively challenges their body through resistance training can literally possess the biological markers and metabolic health of a 30-year-old. No joke.
Which brings us to Section 2, the true enemy, disuse. The consequences of stillness.
So the massive biological plot twist is that the real enemy of our physical capability isn't time at all. It's stillness. We so often treat our bodies like a fragile glass vase, you know? Something that has to be protected on a shelf because we're terrified it's going to crack under pressure. But our biology is actually a robust, high-performance engine. It thrives on stress. It only rusts and seizes when it's left sitting in the garage for decades. Avoiding heavy use actually accelerates your decline.
Let's define the concrete villain of this story, sarcopenia and myosteatosis. This is the involuntary loss of your skeletal muscle, and honestly, even worse, it's infiltration by adipose or fat and fibrous tissue. It's essentially like turning sturdy marble pillars into porous sandstone. But here is the critical point to take away. This terrifying systemic decommissioning of your tissue is a direct result of disuse. It is not some unavoidable destiny that you just have to accept.
I'm old because I haven't been doing this. That single thought completely flips the script. It shifts the paradigm from I can't do this because I'm old to recognizing that stagnation is the root cause of your limitations. This is our hinge today, taking us from the problem of stagnation straight into the solution of biological reclamation.
And that brings us to Section 3, the biology of adaptation, cellular secrets of strength.
We are stepping onto the microscopic cellular battleground right now. Inside your muscles, satellite cells don't just die as you age. They actually just go to sleep. So to wake them up, we have to overcome anabolic resistance through 3 very specific triggers. 1, intense mechanical tension. 2, high leucine protein intake. And 3, prioritizing deep sleep recovery. As a 50-plus athlete, you have to be much more precise with mTOR, which is your body's master switch for muscle growth. You just can't train with the reckless abandon of a 20-year-old anymore. You need focused intensity to bridge that gap in cellular signaling.
And then we have mitochondrial biogenesis. High-intensity training triggers this master switch called the PGC1 alpha protein, which literally commands your DNA to build brand new cellular energy factories and repair the sluggish ones. You know that deep tiredness we constantly associate with getting older? Well, a lot of the time, it's just reversible mitochondrial dysfunction. You can literally upgrade your body's furnace through targeted metabolic stress. It's amazing. Let's look at the broader picture now, in Section 4, Brain, Bones, and Heart, the systemic upgrade.
Aggressive adaptation through exercise actually creates a full-body upgrade. We're essentially renovating the entire house, and we start with piezoelectricity. These are tiny, literal electrical currents created in your bone matrix when you lift heavy weights, and they signal osteoblasts to lay down new bone minerals. This brilliantly illustrates Wolff's Law in action. It proves that heavy resistance training isn't dangerous for older adults. It is an absolute medical necessity if you want to fight off osteoporosis.
All of this hard work? It pays out a massive longevity dividend across all your systems. For the heart, high-intensity work increases stroke volume and cardiovascular elastic recoil. For the joints, movement actually creates healthier, lubricated synovial fluid, preventing atrophy. And the brain? Complex movements stimulate BDNF, which acts like Miracle-Gro for your brain, creating new neural pathways and fighting cognitive decline. The gym is literally acting as both a cognitive laboratory and an endocrine-regulating factory.
So, how do we do this? Let's move to Section 5, the Master Athlete Blueprint, training for the final decades.
We are moving from the biological theory directly into your actionable battle plan. The mature athlete has to navigate their environment with surgical precision utilizing a 4-part protocol. First, embrace progressive overload. Second, refine your biomechanics and movement. Third, manage acute inflammation. And fourth, maximize sleep as your primary anabolic window. While younger athletes might rely entirely on pure ego, you use accumulated wisdom, turning recovery from a total afterthought into an active, vital discipline.
Now, doing this requires a profound psychological shift. In youth, the goal is often all about immediate aesthetic results and, let's be honest, ego. At 50+, the goal is longevity, autonomy, and preserved function. And this psychological shift is actually a massive advantage for you. It leads you to a state of being completely unbreakable, effectively compressing morbidity so that you remain highly functional and independent right up until the very end of your life.
I want to speak directly to you right now. Take a moment to really audit your own internal dialogue. Are the limits you place on yourself truly biological certainties, or are they merely the products of disuse? You have got to stop listening to a culture that fears aging. The power to change the rhythm of your biological clock is entirely in your hands, and it starts today.
The most potent version of yourself is not in the past. It is a version you have yet to build. I really want that to sink in for a second. Your best years of physical wisdom and functional strength, they are not behind you. You can turn back that biological clock through the sheer force of will and the intelligent application of heavy mechanical loading.
So I'm going to leave you with this final, provocative question. What physical activity have you told yourself you are too old for? And exactly how will you start doing it today? It is time to step off the couch, pick up the weight, and begin your own biological reclamation. Your future self is waiting for you at the finish line. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. Now go out there and get moving.